Say this is Jasper County, and then we got.
Hold on one moment. Peace and love, y'all. So today on Bayou TV, we were going to do, and that's in reference to the pedophilia ring. So what we're going to do today is we have a special guest who is a relative of ours. Let me see. Let me try to get you in there better. Okay, there we go. This is, you want to introduce yourself, brother?
Theophilus.
And tell them where you're from?
I'm from Houston, Texas.
And what are we going to speak about today?
Pedophiles that are all around in Missouri, and we want to expose them for the shit that they are for.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about today is the United Snakes of America's pedophile ring. Their pedophile plague, their pedo plague. We call it a pedo plague. It's gotten to the point where it should have never gotten in the first place out of hand. And if y'all know anything about how these pedophile rings operate, they operate through high status individuals. So the reason why when you see children come up missing, out of all of the electronical devices, the technology that we have, these children cannot be found. Why is that? If you can find out anything in America, because there's cameras everywhere, we are never able to find these children that come up missing. And the reason for that is because high officials are responsible for these children's abductions. They've been doing it for decades and decades and decades. And there's actually certain states that are more prominent in pedophilia and hiding it as well. Yes. And this is what we're going to talk about today with our brother, because he's firsthand in the knowledge of it, because he lived in one of these particular states that had a high ratio of children death and the pedophilia, the children abductions. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to let you go ahead and just, like I said, just be organic about it and just tell the entirety as you told me.
Well, for one, like you said, it's a higher organization that is sitting there hiding what is going on,
right,
and trying not to be exposed. Now you got Jasper County, Missouri, responsible for a lot of pedophile and molestation that's been going on as these kids are growing up, incest as well. Now, basically put it down into one particular areas that this has been going on for years and years, beyond years. I can't even go to tell you.
How long were you in this state?
I was out there. See, I've been going back and forth from this state since I was 12. And I never literally lived there till after 2007. Found out a lot of things that were going on that were not even being recognized. I mean, you just got this state, don't have any clue other than their own little towns. You know, they don't know anything. They sit there and they ain't got no curricular activity. They got nothing. So these kids, they grow up being molested. I mean,
So would you consider it that they believe that that's normal behavior? Because yes, if they're raised in that, then
most definitely, yes. Oh yeah, big time. They feel that it's okay. Mm-hmm. They're not gonna speak to nobody because they know they don't want to get hurt, even killed.
Right.
Or because these people, they ain't gonna let themselves get exposed. These adults.
Right.
There's so much disgusting things that are going on in us.
So who do you feel is responsible? Being that first let's talk about the CPS program, because the CPS program has to it is in Jasper as well. It's in that state, Missouri, correct?
Yeah.
Now,
there's nothing being exposed because of that. It's so secretive.
But CPS is, would you consider CPS involved? Because I know for us, in our knowledge that we have, CPS has great dealings in the pedophilia ring and the sex trafficking.
Correct, but there's nobody saying anything about it.
Right, because they're involved.
It's quiet. There's not. Right. That's not even going to help because it goes from generations and it goes up.
You said incest
it's a big deal.
Right, you said incest is huge.
Cousins. These cousins is getting cousins because they don't know, because they've been followed with at a very young age.
Right.
And so they're growing up thinking that it's okay to do these things, and then it just gets corrupted.
What race would you consider this occurring towards? Like, I know the natives there are plentiful, and so I know that we have a lot of problems with Native women and children coming up missing in that particular state as well. As you know, we have in Arizona, and we have in pretty much everywhere. The Native population is under attack, Aboriginal population. But would you consider who is?
Well, it's growing in so many. It's expanding all the way to Oklahoma City, to all the 4 states that are in this.
Who's responsible for it, do you think, the most? Who plays a part in factor of this?
I can tell you governors of any sort that are gonna sit there and keep themselves out of what is actually going on. I mean, these guys grew up together in these small communities.
Well, yeah, because they actually.
That's what it is. It's horrible because it's not like you can sit there and just be like, oh, okay, let me turn to this person. This person's gonna turn on you. It's just a domino effect that is not gonna get better. It is something that's very wrong that's going on.
Right.
And I can go back into these county jails that they have over there that are just corrupted as well. I mean, you got police, you got all types of higher officials that are involved.
So you told me a story, not to cut you off, but you told me a story in reference to a person getting locked up with you when you were locked up. And you said that this individual shared something really disturbing with you in reference to the children.
Yeah, they were I don't know if they were killing infants. They were doing something with these infants. I don't know if it has anything to do with science experiments or just killing these babies and putting them underneath a trailer of some sort. And they're hiding what they do not want to be exposed of. And I mean, this is.
You also said that there was something that was being planned for Jasper, and the governor and the mayors declined on allowing it to happen because they didn't want.
Yeah, they didn't want anything to be people who are outside. They don't want to commercialize whatever they got going on, because whatever they might commercialize, they will be exposed to something deeper than what they really want to be exposed. And I mean, these things can really, really damage this state and really put them on the pedophile, especially pedophile and molestations of these little children.
Especially if you're saying that there's incest involved. So if there's incest involved,
you can tell.
I mean, we're aware that incest.
You know how these Midwest
areas are, man. Stuff. Yeah.
And it could be from all races, because there's so many towns inside of this southern state.
Right.
That it's just going to be hard to keep up. I mean, you got anywhere from Muslims and ones that cover themselves head to toe. You wouldn't think they'd be out there in Missouri. There's a.
Yeah, but those aren't. I'm almost positive those aren't the ones. I'm positive those are not the ones that are committing these type of felonies against
children.
They're
hiding from other states as well. Now that's a different. That is something different. But what it ties down to is everything with these kids. They're not. Sorry, they're not. They are not. It's something's up, man. That's all I gotta say.
Right.
There's so much.
Well, we want to know who do you think it is, because I mean, right now you just mentioned Muslims.
I mean, it can be police.
But we don't want you to get. Hold on. We don't want you to confuse the people, because a lot of people are going to watch this, so we don't want you to confuse them.
No, not
we're
with
not
that
saying
ring.
that
not with that ring.
He's not saying that the Muslims are connected to the pedophile ring. What he's saying is Missouri has so many different little towns
that have so much
different people, that these pedophiles are hiding amongst these different groups to try to prey on the children that are in that vicinity, in that area, and there's nobody able to do anything, because the higher ranked individuals, the governors, the mayors, the police, CPS, places like the entities like that are involved in this pedophile ring as well. So therefore, they're able to hide amongst the population. And so, to say furthermore of this, the Missouri, places like Arizona, places like Texas, places like all over the place, actually New York, you have all these, and especially through in the South. If you know the history of the South has a lot of inbreeding going on. The history of the South had mentality through the slave system, through slavery, where they were raping men in front of the women. They were raping children in front of their mothers and fathers. And so you have to understand, this is a mentality that has been plagued for many decades upon decades. And because there was a smoke screen put in front of us, and the sheep were rocked to their little area, and taken out of the equation of reality and given a facade, these babies became more subjected to these pedophiles, because certain states were able to close off their states. They were able to close off their states and commit these felony crimes against children, these horrendous, I don't even call it a felony, I call it terrorism. This stuff is terrorism all the way, because when you start messing with the children, that becomes another subject, that becomes another issue. And many of these individuals that are high ranked Hollywood, as we know, play music industry, you have politicians, you have these Christian pastors, you have Catholic pastors, you have a bunch of stuff that is going on. And America has made this an custom, and they have these people that have this mentality, this sickness. They've been so accustomed to this and comfortable in the fact that nobody's watching them, until people like you get told it and see what's going on in certain states.
Yeah, and I have witnessed a lot of these families when I'm out there, just it's not right. You see a couple, and the daughter that's probably like 14 years old come and sit on this dude's lap, and it's like it's just bad, and it goes even further back than that, and I don't know how to explain, but it's just sick.
No, I get it, and this is why we do shows like this, and have we get folks in here, because we really need the population to be aware that even though there is a certain situation going on right now where pedophiles are being hunted down, they're being sought after, because people are not going to allow these children to be molested. You have places like California that just passed a law saying that a child could be molested, or be that a pedophile will not be brought up on charges of having sexual intercourse with a child. That's in California. The bill just passed. So when we see things like this, and we're seeing this whole change where people think that this is okay, I'm a mother. I mean, that's not okay for me. You know, especially because we're in a time right now where the men, especially Aboriginal men, especially Native, Mexican, Black, Asian, all of these tribal, these nomad tribes that were considered nomads prior to colonization, you all were considered the men of the men of the planet's pretty much, yes. And so when the colonizer seen that, he had to break y'all. So, you know, they take the strongest of men and they do what, babe? Break them down. And so,
you know, you were asking me who do you think was responsible for all this is going on in Missouri. Now I can tell you that I want to say it's the fucking community, because they have more ride over than these governors. These cats they're hillbillies. They don't think. So they I don't know. It's like they got their head up their ass. You know, there's no they don't know outside of what their community is.
Right.
So when they sit there and do that, I feel it's a community all the way, because they know where these cops live. They know where these judges live. They can sit there and come together because they don't want to be exposed.
Are they the same community?
That's the thing. Well, I can relate to that because we've had a similar incident too, being in the Midwest, Indiana, for example.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain areas in Indiana, you know what I'm saying, where that community only allows certain individuals to come in.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
We were victim to that.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. They had a black cop. He was a sheriff out there in Jasper. They ran him out, and his old lady, she was white. They ran him out, and you know what? It was either that or death. And you know what? They would have been disposed of that without any fucking incident.
Oh yeah, because in Arkansas, in Mena, Arkansas, my husband was living there at
Arkansas is the main ancestor.
Yeah.
That bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was victim to that. I lived there.
He lived there.
I witnessed all that.
He got ran out.
Yeah, they ran him out.
And they threatened him with prison or
to leave. 2 years in prison or leave town.
To leave town. So he left.
The boy packed his bags.
Yeah. But that's the same shit. That's how they was trying to run me out. Y'all was trying to run me out.
I was gone, man. I was like, hey.
So what the principle they were trying to allow y'all to understand is that we have this plague in the United States, and it's a huge plague that it's become a cancer, and the children are the ones that are being subjected to this, because you have individuals that believe in drinking blood, they believe in spirit chasing, they believe in, you know, different things. We're amongst different breeds of life force, I could say it that way. You have your two-legged that has many different transitions from whatever you all would call white, black, yellow, green, whatever you want to call the human race. We call it life force. And in this current time, we're seeing some really terrible stuff. It's a spiritual war. We're in a spiritual war, and they're utilizing the blood of these babies some of these babies are being bred for this purpose. So the parents are getting paid money to have these babies and give the baby up for these sacrifices or baby eating or whatever they're up to, because they're up to some shit. And like our brother has said, that it's a hillbilly issue, it's white supremacy issue, and it is, because currently right now I speak to an individual. I have a colleague, a friend, and he's a Caucasian man, and he's been in the political world for a very long time. And he actually has fought for a very long time against pedophiles. And they've been really, really cracking down, being able to utilize their knowledge and their understanding of the situation. And when him and I have, we don't see eye to eye on many things, but we do see eye to eye when it comes to the children. And that's why I could call him a friend, because his loyalty for the change that is being happening right now is he's sacrificed a lot for him for that as well. But like I said, we don't see eye to eye on many things, but what he has told me, and I know that it's factual because there's no reason for him. I mean, like I said, when I say we don't see eye to eye on many things, it's because his politics and my politics are two different politics. And but so we understand that, we have that understanding with each other, and we can speak to each other raw. So I know that he wouldn't come with no information that was not the truth. And him being a white man, him being a Caucasian, he shared with us that the problem is a white supremacy problem. Yes, molestation happens in every house, every household pretty much has had a situation where an uncle went to jail for molestation, or you have an uncle, a sly uncle somewhere. You see what I'm saying? Or, you know, but that all comes from a systematic form of oppression that follows down, because if somebody's hurt, a hurt person hurts another person. You see what I'm saying? So for that, it wasn't in our culture to do that. It was the breaking of the male, the breaking of the female. You know, it was a Jim Crow, it was slavery, it was all of that shit that colonization brought in that ended up plaguing some certain people. And you know, that it's energy transfers. You know, you're indigenous, energy transfers. So if you have a mentality of wicked energy, it's going to transfer to the next individual that you have that particular sexual contact with. So therefore, an energy amongst these young children that don't know how to space that out, some of them become that which has happened to them, and they share that cycle. And we heard about it growing up. We were very much witness to that understanding of don't beat, because your child is going to grow up to beat, you know, their children, or, you know, you always hear that repetitive cycle. So, and understanding this, it is a colonization issue. It does come back to a certain situation that these individuals believe that eating babies or drinking the blood, the adrenochrome, you know, raping or the torture part or whatever, that feeds their energy to another source. It's
for the purest,
right,
with these infants. Right. That's why they do these rituals.
And the white people, even in the bricks, you need to understand that these racist, hillbilly, KKK, those ones that stayed hidden in the backwoods, that's the reason why they took land. They needed the land to be able to commit the crimes that they commit in the middle of nowhere, where nobody could see. Nobody could see it. But nobody's looking in the middle of nowhere, because everybody's looking in the states. You know, they're
just thinking, oh, look at all these nice little small towns.
Yeah,
the people are so nice,
right?
Whatever.
And they're not. And it's a truly cliche.
You know, it's just a facade, man.
Yeah.
You know, they're painting a perfect picture on the outside, but when you look inside, you realize, wait a minute.
Right. So I'm really grateful that you were able to share this information with us. And
there's more when time comes.
Yeah, and we're gonna have him back on, because we can only stay on a little bit right today. We just wanted you all to be introduced to our brother. He's coming back. He'll be back next week. So we're probably going to do this in about, you know, in a few segments, because there's a lot of information to share. But we just wanted to let you know that this is why we open this channel up. This channel it's very important to understand that we have the ability to find out information that goes on because of who we are in our communities and in our nation, in our sovereignty. So we bring this information to y'all so that you're aware and you understand exactly what is happening in front of you, because so many of us been rocked to sleep. And it's not a lot of y'all's fault, you know, it's the system, the way the system works, the way that the system manifests, the way that the system moves. That's just what it is. But we have made the choice and dedicated our entire life and our entire peace to be able to bring truth to y'all and provide you that opportunity to learn the truth, because a lot is going on all over in front of you. And it's time that we make change, especially for the children that have no voice. Till next time, the Bayou Lounge. You have anything?
I want to talk